half hour. What's up, YouTube? Okay, that's a greeting.
Something is weird.
Uh-oh.
Something
is weird.
In my
neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
Is it strange?
I don't know.
Is there something strange in your neighborhood?
I don't know who I'm going to call.
Or did you get in one little fight?
Oh, man, Comcast.
There we go. That was weird. Okay, we're good. There was like something going on with my Hangout. It was like I had hit select all on the Hangout.
Oh.
But we're good.
All right. We got the Audacity ready to go?
Ready.
Oh, I didn't necessarily come up with a September
it's not September
thing
yet, so don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Audacity. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, hi, welcome to episode number 132 of the South Dakota Gamer Podcast for August 29th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me, as always, not drenched because he's too far north, Dave Mann.
I've always been too far north because I'm the king of the north.
Should have said something about Game of Thrones assessed. Also joining us this week from his new place, Joshua Owens.
Hello. I don't live in Chicago anymore, and it's glorious.
Significant, noticeable, downturn in sirens.
I haven't heard a siren since we moved.
Wow.
I haven't heard a peep. I haven't heard a peep from the outside since we moved. It's great.
You're going to be like, it's too quiet.
But everybody's windows are broken and street lights are knocked out.
I moved to Wheaton, Illinois, Dave. It's just one of the suburbs, but not in the city anymore, and it's so great.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I love it.
Very cool, very cool. All right, well, we're going to jump right into it. We got a bunch of news to cover this week, so we're going to speed right through. We've got some really fun games that we've been playing. There's a lot of new releases coming out, and then obviously we have Game Scoop's 20 questions this week to wrap it up. So, without further ado,
yes,
take it away.
Me?
Oh, what if your name is Dave? Yes.
We have audio issues. I didn't hear what you said. Right. Sorry. But yeah, so as you guys know, we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away a PS4 and the month today.
What?
Thought he was not paying attention, but nope.
Yeah, we're giving away a PS4 in November, and as you know from each episode that you listen to, all you got to do is some simple things that we require. One of those simple things that you could or could not do, depending on whether or not you want to do it or not, is supporting us at patreon.com/South Dakota Gamer. $1 or more will get you one entry per month into the giveaway. So right now it's the end of August, so you can get yours in for September, October, and November. That's $3 for 3 chances to win a PlayStation 4. You don't have to do that. Every month we're giving you different ways to do this, and this month is going to be over after this week, so I guess they still have some time to get it in by the next podcast. So
yeah, they've got till the end of the month, so you've got till Thursday or Friday morning at midnight to get us August's entry.
And that entry method is simply message us, contact us on Twitter, Facebook, any way you want to do it, but get us your favorite video game character of all time. Send it to us. And we will put those in the little hat, as they say. Your name will be in there. You'll get an entry for this month. And then at the end of this month, actually at the beginning of next month, the first podcast of the month, we will say who the one with the most votes was. Or we'll just lie and say whoever we want to make it. You're never going to know.
Right. That's right.
But that's just for fun. For flips and giggles, as they say.
Yes, as they say.
IFB, right?
That popular saying. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Is that how they say it?
Josh. Sorry, Josh. I didn't mean to mention that.
Wait, what?
Just don't forget I said it.
We're giving away a PlayStation. Do the things to get the entries. That's it. That's all. Next week, we will have a brand new way for you to enter for the month of September. As of right now, we have not determined that, or have we? But we're not going to say until next week. We will let you know how you can get your entry for September. Win it, because we're giving it away. We're getting closer. November will be here before you know it. All right.
I just got to say, folks, I hate doing the podcast from this little closet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not myself, and I have to apologize. I feel like every week for Josh. I'm just kidding. For me.
What? I was just enjoying a nice swig of Diet Coke, and that took a turn.
I feel like I
turn. All right.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize, Dave. It's okay. We understand. You're constrained by your environment. You're like those animals. You put them in small cages and they don't grow very big. But when you put them in big cages, they just keep growing. And you're caged in a small place for the time being. But it's only temporary.
I know. Hey, I will say this for you guys. I went up and I got a little folding table. So I put it in here. Nice. So right now I'm sitting in a chair. And I'm at a nice little folding table. I got my water here, my mic.
A little more comfortable than last week. I mean, you had some changes if you watched the YouTube video. Yeah, last week, Dave was changing his lying status.
Unfortunately, I have to move all this out just so I can lay down tonight to sleep. But
just put it in the hallway, prop it up against the wall.
For right now.
Put a sign on it, don't touch, it's mine.
Dave did part of the podcast last week in his let me draw you like one of my French girls pose.
Yeah. Once again, if you don't,
and I quite enjoyed it. It was nice.
Poultry. All right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Giveaway. Josh, Microsoft has announced the free games with gold for September. Would you be so kind as to tell us what those are?
I would love to tell you what these are, especially because one of these games is one of my favorite games of all time. Games with gold for September are as follows. Forza Motorsport 5, the 1st through the 30th. All month, people. Get it while it's good. While it's hot, get it, love it, enjoy it, download it.
Okay.
Next up, we got Oxenfree from the 16th to October 15th. It's a great game. If you haven't played it yet, you really need to play it. And now you have no excuse because it's free. Up next, we have Hydro Thunder Hurricane, the 1st through the 15th, and Battlefield 3 with its super destructible environments, the 16th through the 30th. That's a good lineup.
Yeah, not bad. Some good games there.
Yeah.
So there you go, Xbox. You got your free games for the month of September. All right, let's get right into the news that you can use.
If you so choose.
To do so.
Brought to us by our good friend Papa Andy and his baby girls. Andy got a new vehicle this week.
Oh, how about
brand spanking. Well, I don't know. New to him, anyways. New van, because he's a dad of twins now.
Yeah, we got to do it with the kids.
I mean, he's still got his cool car, his Crossfire, but he now has a van. Which
and he's a soccer dad now.
So the new Dave, why don't you start us off with this first one, because I know favorite item on the list this week. Item number 1.
Well, Chad, I'm going to read this as it is written in the outline, and that is the SNES Classic debacle. Now, let me tell you about a little thing called the SNES Classic and a little company called Nintendo, a.k.a. what I call garbage trash.
Wow. Don't hold back.
I am ticked off. And this is not something that is new. This is something that just keeps happening, specifically when it comes to these classics that they're doing. But they advertised very well. They packaged very well. They displayed them, and they made it look just, they caught the retro nostalgia that we all wanted, and then purposely did not make enough for everyone. At least that's what they want you to think. I'd almost be better with them saying, we're making as many as we can, but we literally cannot find the parts that we're using, kryptonite to form this chip or some special space rock that we can find. But they decided to tell us, oh no, it's just for, it wasn't, first they acted like it wasn't for hardcore gamers. It was like for just the casual gamer. We didn't know that everybody that liked playing Nintendo wanted this. And then later they came out and said, oh, it's for hardcore, like really hardcore, like collectors. And everyone that's ever played these games can't find one, it seems like. I mean, every once in a while you find the rare person that's like, I got one, but most of them are scalpers and people that are just putting them up on eBay. And who knows doing what else. It's probably the guys that buy them just to like destroy them on YouTube channels to see like if they could cut through it with a water jet or something. Those guys are somehow getting a hold of these.
Jerks.
The same thing is happening with the SNES Classic. We already had the Walmart fiasco where, for whatever reason, their pre-orders went up live, and then they had to take them all back because they accidentally released them early. And then those people that jumped online and got them, they didn't get anything. They didn't get like, okay, well, at least you'll get one when it comes out. No, wasn't offered anything like that. Wasn't even notified that it was happening. They decided to basically stealth launch these at like what was it, like 2-3 in the morning for North America?
Yeah, it was like 10:30 or 10 p.m. time. So like if you're on the East Coast, it was like 2 a.m. or 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, this I just don't understand this. There's no reason whatsoever when there are literally more people, without question, than you are going to be able to make these for that are standing and willing to stand in line with money in their hands to give you, and you won't even tell them when or where they can go to get it.
Right.
You're so secretive about it. There's no way you don't know. There's no way you don't know the plan, the rollout plan. There's just no way, and they're not telling anybody. This is the same thing they're doing with Virtual Console. They're just purposely being vague and elusive on purpose. And there's just, I mean, I can understand, like, okay, the Switch comes out. They've got, like, they like being gimmicky and all that stuff. That's Nintendo. That's how they've been ever since they started coming out GameCube into Wii. They wanted to do this more gimmicky stuff. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I really like the Switch. I wish it had more games, but those games are starting to come out. We're really coming into a good month for that. That stuff works, and that's expected of Nintendo. I get it. But this stuff does literally... There's absolutely no good explanation for the way that they're handling.
It ticks consumers off.
Yes. I mean, go online and find... I mean, it's everywhere. People are in rage mode over this. People that want to get their hands on this kind of stuff.
Did you even have an opportunity to try to get one? Because as you mentioned, Best Buy and Amazon, they went up overnight a week or so ago, and no one knew about it. They didn't announce it. People that were signed up for notifications, like I was on Amazon, didn't get one because they changed the product code from the original way they had it set. A new product code was made, so those people did not get notifications. A bunch of people did get them, mostly West Coast people. And then the following day, we got Walmart and Target and GameStop go up. GameStop's was out super fast. The site crashed. Target was up, and it said add to cart, but it kept saying this item is out of stock, but the button to add to cart was still there. And supposedly people that sat there set up macros to continue to click that. Eventually, you would get one once in a while, but it basically was out of stock the whole time. And then Walmart, like, it never even had it on their site that it existed. It went so quickly. So that was my experience. I know, Josh, you didn't even try, which you're probably a lot less stressed out and angry. Maybe not less angry than us. But Dave, did you even have an opportunity to even try, being at work and everything?
No. I mean, I most likely against my employer's wish, I did get online on my work computer just to see, but I definitely couldn't just sit there and spam the button over and over and over. I couldn't literally digitally camp out.
Right.
So,
and that's a problem, because that's where I think a lot of the, like you said, the scalpers, the people that are going to buy as many as they can and then turn around and sell them for $300 on eBay, are the ones that got first dibs at stuff, because guys like us are at work, and we can't just drop everything to do that.
Right. It's just really frustrating to me.
100%.
I don't know
Josh,
what else to say. I mean, we could just keep going over it and over it. It's just it's a sore point for me. I'm looking forward to what they bring out on the Switch. I'm all in on the Switch. I'm not getting rid of my Switch. I like the fact that more third-party stuff's coming in. The little games that are $7 and $9 or whatever, I like buying those. So I'll keep supporting it that way. I really, really want to play retro games on my Switch. I don't understand why we are not told anything about Virtual Console or the promise of any type of, with the exception of like what we talked about several months ago, like maybe 2 games a month or something like in next summer or whatever it is, some weird, bizarre thing that does not sound like Virtual Console. And in the meantime, what is in its place is not available to everyone. Like, I wouldn't even say available to half the people that want it. It's just not available.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
it's just I don't get it. It makes me angry, and I'm to the point to where I've gotten on Facebook, I've gotten in these Twitter discussions about people there'll be instantly people that as soon as this news that these things come out, they're like, oh, just get a cherry pie or just buy, a ROM or whatever. And I'm kind of like, well, I like to support the company. I like the actual hardware. I like it. And now I'm to the point where like, screw you. I will look for pirated versions of this stuff. I'm to this point. I'm honestly to this point to where I just want to go. I want to be able to play these games. You've been shoving nostalgia in my face like a dangling carrot that you're never going to give me, because unless I am the fastest horse in the track, and sometimes that won't even work.
Good analogy. I like it. Josh, any thoughts?
I agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I mean, like I've sort of just checked out as far as Nintendo goes. Like I understand that the Switch is a good piece of hardware. It's selling well. So, I'm happy for that. It seems like it's good. They did a good job with that. But just everything else, I don't know, everything else that they are doing at the moment, like Dave said, it's just, there's no good explanation. And it seems like they're just being opaque for the sake of being opaque, when a lot of their consumers would be happy with just some explanation, just something, some info, some reason. But instead they just choose to be distant and keep their mouths closed. So I don't know. I agree. I agree that it's frustrating. But it's Nintendo, unfortunately.
It's Nintendo. Screw them. All right. So stay tuned. I'm sure there are many of you out there that if you wanted one, and maybe you've given up as well. I know we've heard from a couple people, at least I have, that listen, that said they're basically in the same boat Josh is. They're like, you know what? Forget it. I ain't even gonna try it.
It's seriously, they are slapping consumers in the face. This is what they're doing.
It's super hard.
They've got people like Josh who they've pushed to the brink to where they're like, I'm not giving you my money. And they've got people like you and me who they're basically saying, we don't want yours, because they could have it.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yep. All right. Well, that's all for that. SNES Classics. They're no easier to find than the NES Classics were. Well, let's talk about a new game. Something that looks exciting. Something I think looks fun. A new game was announced here this last week. I believe it was at Gamescom. Biomutant from THQ Nordic. They announced it's an action role-playing game, third person, where you play basically what I'm going to just call Rocket Raccoon. Okay? You're like a raccoon little animal creature. It's open world action RPG where you've got guns. And you can basically like change out your arms. You want a mechanical arm that shoots things, you rip off the arm you have and you install that, and it's got that kind of gameplay mechanic. And it looks pretty awesome. Did you guys get to see the trailer or watch that at all?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, because of work and stuff, I haven't got to see a lot of the stuff from the event, or the, what's it called? It's
Gamescom?
Gamescom. The German one,
The
right?
games convention.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot of it, I think, or maybe even like a short video where it wasn't moving very much. But I thought, just in the split second, I thought Transformers meets A Bug's Life is what it looked like when I was looking at it.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
But,
That's pretty
but
fun.
I didn't see anything else. But it did look like you were small, like an insect small.
You're like a raccoon type
Okay.
animal.
So
Yeah.
you weren't that small.
So you're
It kind of reminds
but
me
it-
of what would happen if Ratchet and Clank was like gritty
Yeah.
and
yeah,
like
sure.
Wasn't
Yep.
less
cartoon, but
cartoony.
more- yeah.
It looks really good.
Yeah, that's a good description. Yeah, it has a karma system, so like by the original Mass Effects. So like you can treat people well and get they'll talk to you differently, or you can treat them real sternly and harshly and get a different response and different outcomes with some NPCs and stuff too. So and there's dialogue and all that stuff. So it's definitely an RPG, but it's got the action orient to it. So it looks super fun, super interesting. I'm excited to see more of that. 2018 release date, no specific, but 2018 release year anyway. So
Nice.
very cool. All right, next, Rocket League is coming to the Switch. We already know that, but here this last week they showed a short little trailer showing off exclusive battle cars. There was a Mario car, no surprise, or a Luigi car, and then one that I thought looked real cool was a Samus car. It was like orangish and shiny, and it looked real cool. So that's coming, I think, by the end of this year onto the Switch, Rocket League, which I guess I'll be buying Rocket League for the third system that I have because it just looks really cool. The only thing is obviously playing online, you got to have a Wi-Fi connection in order to do so. So if you're on a bus or on the go, that may be a little bit difficult, but you can still play it against bots and things like that. But man, those rocket cars, those exclusive Nintendo ones, looks real cool. To have a Mario car, that looks pretty awesome.
And also, at least there's a built-in like button chat system where you can ask people for loot boxes and keys to trade rather than hooking up 13 wires through your phone and a headset you got to carry around with you.
See, Josh, the benefits of the button.
Are you serious? What are you talking about there?
He's being a little sarcastic.
No, I was like,
little,
really?
Yeah, that's like so. If you need to trade for things, you can just type it in instead of using your headset on the Switch, because the headset on the Switch is just a pain. Totally do it on your phone with an app.
Yeah,
super easy.
Yeah, but see, that's the
convenient.
That poses the same problem that you currently have on PS4. Tyler keeps telling me it's not an issue on Xbox, which if so, it's awesome, but it's hard for me to believe. Like, people will literally stop playing. Like, this is ultimately one of the reasons that I stopped playing it, really. People will literally stop playing in the middle of a match to send messages back and forth about trading after the match is over. And I'm like, why are you playing?
Yeah.
Like, there have to be forums or some other place for you to coordinate trades. I don't understand.
Yeah. So, Switch on Switch, Battle Rockets, Supersonic Battle Racer cars on the Switch. Come in if you want it. You can get it. All right, another game that's wildly popular with everyone but Josh. Overwatch. Sorry.
I'm less. I have less opinion on this. I had fun when I played the
I know. It was just the only segue I could find. Overwatch, Mercy in Overwatch, the character Mercy, who is a healer, is getting a pretty big. Yeah, 100%. John Stamos, Mercy. That's what it is. She's getting a pretty big change when it comes to her ultimate ability and one of her other side abilities or secondary abilities. If you played Overwatch, her ultimate is she can resurrect pretty much anyone that is dead at the moment, even entire teams, if that's a possibility, if they're all dead.
If they're in the vicinity of her, yeah.
Right. And it can be pretty disheartening. So they announced here that they're going to do a pretty big change. And let's see here. Jeff Kaplan, who is one of the he's involved with making the game. He also is one you see most of the time talking about when he's talking to media. He says, pretty disheartening to have Mercy just erase a team wipe with a full team res. As a result, her resurrection ability is getting demoted. So the ultimate is getting demoted. Soon it will be a single target only, as opposed to a potential numerous. And it won't be an ultimate anymore. Instead, it'll be a secondary ability on a cooldown that Kaplan describes as rather long. So instead of it being an ultimate that will possibly bring the whole team back, it can only bring one person back, and it's a secondary ability, not an ultimate. So it won't depend on your performance. It'll just be on a cooldown like your other abilities are. However, they're not going to obviously take away her ultimate. They're giving her something else instead. So her new ultimate will be called Valkyrie. And upon activation, it'll do a couple things. First, it'll give her the gift of full-on flight. So no jetpacks or whatever. She'll have full freedom of airborne mobility. So she can fly around anywhere. Doesn't have to be connected to a character or a teammate. Secondly, it'll make her better at everything, meaning she'll be able to soar to allies who are further away, resurrect quicker, and her healing and damaging beams will reach further too. In addition, beams will chain to multiple allies at once. So she's going to become, her ultimate will basically just make her a more powerful version of the normal Mercy, other than the fact that she'll have full airborne capabilities, be able to fly anywhere, and she'll do more damage. She'll heal faster. She'll resurrect quicker.
Does it say how long her ult is?
It does not give a time. But that's a pretty big change to a key.
I'd be interested in hearing specifically from the Steel brothers, what they think about this. I mean, I don't play Overwatch nearly as much as them. I played some of it today to get my loot boxes for the whatever season it is right now, and summer season, I guess. And so when I first heard about that, it sounds pretty. I was pretty surprised because as much as it sucks to have, like they said, a whole team that you just wiped rezzed, like, to me, that's always just been part of the game. Like, it's, you plan your ults as Mercy for that kind of reason. And I mean, when it happens, you're on the other team. That's a big deal. I mean, she played you, and you can do it the same way. And I've never heard. I mean, I'm sure it's out there. If they're making a change, there had to be people complaining, but I've never heard anybody complain about it, other than, oh crap, she just res the whole team. That sucks or whatever. Because a lot of times they'll res the whole team, and the whole team will just get gunned down again, depending on how well the other team's set up. I mean, we've done it several times, especially like a bash and just wiped them out, and then they res them and you just wipe them out again. But I will say, because when they first said, oh, now you're going to be able to heal one person, I thought, well, that's crap. But then when they said it's a regular thing. So even though it's going to be a longer cooldown, it's obviously going to be quicker than your ult will be. It's not based on your kills.
Assume so.
It's based on time. So, I mean, obviously,
so Steel Boys,
we'll have to see what happens, but I'm curious to hear their thoughts.
It's in the PTR right now, so the public test realm is where it's being used. It'll, I'm sure, be put on PC first and then consoles. So, Steel Boys, guys, or anyone that plays Overwatch often, let us know what you think of this. Is this cool? Is this not cool? Are you upset? Are you okay? Do you think, like, we'll figure it out? Don't send us a private message on this one. Put a public post on the Facebook page and or Twitter. Let us know what you think so other people can see and maybe get involved in the discussion as well. All right, next, Secret of Mana. We've talked about this game before. Old NES or SNES RPG from Japan is getting a remaster coming early 2018. How exciting is that to be able to get? I mean, if you never played Secret of Mana, it's a real cool game. I touched on it briefly. Great JRPG, old, retro. It's got the nostalgia, Super Nintendo. You're going to be able to play it on your PS4. You're going to be able to play it on your Xbox One. And that's it. So, I mean, if you wanted to play that retro nostalgia SNES game on your Nintendo Switch, well, that's not, you can't do that because they aren't releasing it for the Switch for some reason. I don't know what that reason is, but it's not coming to Switch as of yet.
Now, who's the developer behind Secret of Mana? Do we?
It was
No,
Square
Square
Enix.
Okay.
I don't know if they're doing the remaster version.
They've already talked with fans and pointed them to Nintendo when they came out. They basically released the entire series that this is in Japan, where you can play this game on your Switch, not the remaster, but you can play this game on your Switch if you set it for Japan and you buy the Japan version, which there's no translation for you. Everything's in Japanese. But you can play the game. So a lot of fans have been asking Square Enix, the people over there, are we going to get an English port? Are we going to get it for English? And they basically have said it's basically almost like how Xbox talks about cross-platform with Sony. Like we're fine. Just you gotta ask Nintendo. Like it's up to them. And
that was where my line of thinking was going. Like, is it on Square Enix's side or Nintendo's?
So
but if they're basically saying we're waiting on Nintendo,
yeah. So it's almost like a double gut punch now that this is also now this is coming out. Okay, finally, here we go. That's why we didn't
voice acted too.
Because we're also getting a remastered version, and then a
better version.
Didn't I hear this was going to go to the Wii U? Is it not going to Wii U?
That's a good question. I guess if it is, I may have missed that. It is possible. I don't know for sure. I guess.
Either way, though, it's stupid.
It's dumb.
It's
real. I don't understand because it's getting voice acting. It's getting all English translation. Obviously, it's going to be remastered. They're basically rebuilding the game, and anything that it's going to look better, it's going to play better, and it's going to be a better version of that really good game. But for some reason, at this point, it's not coming to the Switch. They say it's coming early 2018. So, I mean, trophies. You can get trophies, Dave, if you want to play that game.
Well, that's what's going to happen. See, if I can't get it on the Switch, I will get it. I will get that for PS4 because I've been wanting to play that game again for a while now.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in getting this again too. Yeah, it's real good.
Yep. Speaking of games that you could play periodically, game rentals. The EB Games store in Australia, which is a similar thing to GameStop here in America, has a $20 Australian a month, so Australian dollars, $20 Australian per month to get any used game they have in stock, take it home, play it, and when you're done, bring it back and get another used game that they have in stock to bring it home, take it back. Basically like GameFly or like Blockbuster used to do right before they went out of business. Blockbuster had a Game Pass where you paid so much money a month and you could rent one game or how many ever games you signed up for all month long, as many as you wanted to. And they have in Australia at EB Games, they're doing it. And then found out later that they are also testing this at certain GameStops in Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, $50 of time. And you can basically rent used games from GameStop for $50 for 3 months. So my question to you guys, obviously it's GameFly is a thing, and I know Dave, you've done that in the past. I don't know if you're probably not still doing it since you just moved and such, but you can pay a monthly fee and they'll send you a game and you can keep it as long as you want, send it back. Is this something you guys would be interested in? One, is this something you would do possibly? Two, what is this saying about GameStop? Are they just trying to expand their horizons? Will this make it better for them? Will this make them more of a viable company? Or is this a sign of bad things to come that they're trying to do this to try to get money? So first of all, is this something you guys are interested in? Would you do this? Try it out. Josh?
Well, I feel like the difference here between what they're offering and GameFly, for instance, is I don't have to send something back in the mail and wait for the next thing to get to me. I could go to a GameStop and get the next game. So that's nice. Like the turnaround time is a little faster. For me, one of the reservations I have about this is that that's a lot of money up front to me.
It's less than a new game.
Yeah, it is. It is less than a new game. And you could theoretically play several games over the period of 3 months for $50. So that's nice. I just like that seems where like GameFly is literally a month-to-month subscription. For how much is it?
$50.
I think it's like 14 or something dollars for
sorry.
GameFly.
Yeah, so like
12 or 14.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the psychological side of it to me, like paying $50 up front, even though I mean it averages out to almost the same price. But like paying $50 up front for 3 months means basically I'm locked in for 3 months. So I better use it all I can for 3 months.
A lot of trips to GameStop.
Yeah. Versus like, you know, if I get tired of my GameFly subscription after a couple of months, I can cancel it. No harm, no foul. Then I've only paid like $30. So
also, how close do you live to your GameStop?
Right. So I mean, like, as far as something that I'd be willing to try, maybe.
But you're not like, yeah, let's do it right away.
It seems like a cool idea for people that are currently using GameFly. I feel like it's a good alternative because of the turnaround time. Unless, like Dave is saying, you live far away from your GameStop.
Yeah. How about you, Dave?
I think I agree about the price. I think they should and they could drop the price on this because they're talking about used games, which in most cases these stores freaking rake you over the coals for what you get from trading in a game and what they turn around and sell it for. I understand they need to make money, but they do this a lot. I mean, that's what they're in business for. And so like, when I think about renting games and physical games, I think about like this little game rental place. There's a movie rental place by my house growing up as a kid. And they used to have this special called 5. It was 5 for 5 for 5. It was 5 games for 5 nights for $5. And you could basically like to pick 5 games out and take them home for a week. And it was $5
back in the 90s.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, you're not keeping these games. So it's these people are literally just making money off of these games that have already been purchased once from somewhere, whether it was from them or from the retailer. They're just making money over these games.
Yeah.
So whoever gave them this game in the first place, they made money on that because they only gave them so much back. So I mean, you rent this game out so many times and you're done. You're making just sheer profit.
Right. It's all profit. Right.
So I mean, I think they should. I mean, $10 a month maybe. That seems fair. $9.99. Because they're talking about one at a time too. So it's not like, if you don't live, right down the street, that's going to add up in gas. I mean, if you're wanting to get your money, if you're wanting to go, even once a week, that's 2 trips a week, there and back, 4 times. So I mean, it just depends on gas prices and stuff like that. When I was with GameFly, I usually would keep my games rather long because I play through them for the most part. I didn't really use it. I mean, I did use it a couple times to play games that I might not have tried because I would have to buy them. But most of the time it was a game I was pretty sure I was going to like. So I kept it for a long time. And their turnaround time is rather quick. Sometimes I got things back. It almost seemed like the next day if I got it in the mail soon enough and it got there. But it wouldn't be more than, like if I turned it in on a Tuesday, I'd have a game no later than Thursday in the mail in the morning, whenever mail came.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it like Josh was saying, you could get, unless you decided to go back multiple times in one day just to get as many games, you could get one more game, take it home, play it in the time that you could send one to GameFly or whatever, and then wait for another one to come back. So I mean, it's definitely like a cool idea. I mean, I applaud them for doing something different and at least making things more available for people to try instead of buying them. I mean, most of those stores you can buy the used game, and if you don't like it, you can just return it within.
Yeah, you have a 7-day return thing on used games.
Right. That's plenty of time to take the game home, beat it, and get all your money back.
Sure.
So,
yeah, for me, like in the place that I am now, it may not be something I would do. But before Dave and I started game sharing, which is, I mean, obviously, you buy one, you get 2, 2 copies basically of the game. Back when I was more into playing on my Xbox more, I think I would do this in a heartbeat. I think I'd be more than happy to give them $50 because if I buy a new game, like say I want to get Destiny here when it comes out, obviously that's a new game. You're not going to find used copies right away, but I guarantee you someone is going to play it, not like it, and bring it back within 2 weeks, maybe only one, but they'll be there. Or if I wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn right now, I guarantee you there's used copies at GameStop. I would love to do this. I would give them $50 a month, which is less than the new game, and or $50 for the time period, which is 3 months, and I'd have 3 months to play as many used games as I wanted to or had time to. And I live in South Dakota. The South Dakota Gamer Podcast. GameStop's not far away from here, and you know what? Gas money. I'm at work, and I could literally, it's right down the street. It's not that far, so I'm not worried about what I'm spending on gas. If I go back once or twice a week, depending on the kind of game I would get, I would try more games. I would probably bring games home that I would never buy because I don't want to spend the $50, $60, or even $35 used price. But if I was already in $50 for 3 months, I would more than happy pick up this game that I never would try. So I think it'd give me personally in that specific situation more opportunities to try more games that I probably wouldn't normally. So I'd probably play a lot more if I had the time, and that's the kind of situation I was in. So I think it's a great idea for that type of gamer. In the situation I am now, I probably wouldn't take advantage of it as much.
I will say this too. The rental stores of yesteryear or whatever, some of them are still going right now, but they did have a pattern for a reason where you would rent and you only rented for so many days because they only get so many of those games in stock, and they don't, they want them to be available to other people. So you could bring it back and literally re-rent it again if you wanted to, but you had to bring it back to the store. And there's that chance that you could put it down and then decide, I'm gonna get something else since I'm here, and then someone else will have a chance to get that. Whereas these games, I imagine GameFly's got a big selection. I don't know what they have.
I'd assume,
but
yeah.
But you're little in South, Brookings is a college town, and so I don't know the comparison to some of the other small, but some places, you got a small town and a small GameStop, and
maybe
you have
won't
less
have
people,
that much.
but yeah, you might not ever get more than 1 or 2 used copies of this game. So it really depends on, and they can take that home and they can keep that one game the whole month, and it's never available.
Yeah,
and
3 months if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And could never get it.
No, that's a good point too.
But
it could definitely be situational.
Yeah, but you have this whole library of a lot of stuff you don't want to play. I mean, if it's just whatever, So it's just comes down to that,
there are a lot of different pros and cons. I think now, what do you think quickly? What do you think on what does it say about the company? Does it say anything about GameStop? Is this a writing on the wall like Blockbuster, or is this just another way for them to make residuals?
I don't necessarily think it's writing on the wall per se. I do think it is a tell sign that they're trying other things, because they do. I mean, it's pretty obvious that there is a threat with digital media that is a threat to them. Now, I mean, retailers have their claws pretty deep into developers and stuff like that, as far as that big push, to get their media out there. So that's a big part of their bread and butter. So I don't think they're going anywhere, like how Blockbuster just tanked all of a sudden. I don't think that's going to happen. But it is a sign that they're looking at ways to just generate side revenue, I think. I mean, I'm not a marketing guy, but I don't think it's just somebody's like, oh, let's just try something new. I think it's a planned strategy of, well, how can we shake things up and, bring in some more people.
Diversify. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How about you, Josh?
I mean, I agree that I don't necessarily think it's writing on the wall for them. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that GameStop's business model needed to change in order for them to be a viable company moving forward. I think they all but said that's why they got into like publishing, and they're looking at some of that stuff. So this to me is like Dave said, just them kind of exploring other avenues. This is a new revenue stream that they're opening up without cannibalizing an existing one. So I think it's a smart move for them, and it's a space that's new enough for them to be able to corner some of the market if they do it right. So I think it makes them a more viable company, if anything, but I don't think that it spells doom and gloom for them necessarily.
Agreed. I feel the same way. It seems like just them thinking of other ways to bring in money. So, all right. Well, if you try this out, if you're in the Philadelphia area and you listen to South Dakota Gamer podcast, let us know what you think. If you've tried it, if you haven't tried it, if it comes to a town near you, I'm assuming if this works out in that area and this seems to be successful, they may expand that into further stores, may eventually coming to a GameStop near you. So look for that. Next, Final Fantasy 15 is a game that was one of my favorite games, maybe someone would say game of the year from last year. There's supposedly a Final Fantasy 15 project in the works for the Nintendo Switch. If that game came out for the Switch, would you give it another go?
Yes. Yes.
Now, what if it were a port of the mobile game for Final Fantasy 15 that is rumored to be the actual project coming to the Switch? Would you give that a go?
No. It was a mobile game?
Yeah. Yeah, the big push right now is that they're making a Final Fantasy 15 mobile game, which is basically the game that is on consoles and PC, coming to PC, split into 10 chapters where you play through the entire story of everything, but the combat's pretty much non-existent. Cutscenes, you get everything else, but it's a mobile game. And so obviously there's some virtual controls going on, and it's a mobile port. So it's going to be dumbed down a little bit. And the rumor is that that's the game that they put on the Switch. Because they're saying Final Fantasy 15 as it is probably not going to be able to run on the Switch. Switch couldn't handle it. So would you probably wouldn't try that?
No.
That's all the news I have for that. I just thought I'd throw that out there. All right. You thought we were going to go 1 week without talking about it, and you were wrong. The one game that is high on our list, we're so excited about it, and none of us have played it. PUBG. Player unknown. We're so excited about this game that none of us have played this game, but we just cannot stop talking about it. At least I can't. So I put it on the outline, and that's why we talk about it.
I'm getting more and more excited about it, Chad. More and more excited. And I know we sparked my brother's interest, so there's somebody else.
We did. This week, different media outlets and websites were able to report on their hands-on time with the Xbox One version of the game, and overall, it's very positive. It plays well. It's just like you expect or like you're used to on some. Obviously, some inventory things that are different, but overall, it is the game you watch and you see people play on Steam. So, couple big news things. First of all, it finally, for the first time in I don't know how long, a game that was not Dota 2 was the #1 game on Steam for a short part of the time this weekend, and that was PUBG.
Wow.
It surpassed the concurrent players on Steam at 877,000 at one time. I believe it was Sunday afternoon, and had more people playing that than Dota 2.
Wow.
Goodness.
Which is pretty amazing. The highest ever concurrent players on Steam is Dota 2 at 1.2 million. That's the most ever all time. They don't do that all the time, obviously. That was the biggest, but they average in the 900,000s. And if you've been listening to us talk about it week after week, it's steadily grown from like 500,000, 600, 700. We were talking about how it was the first game to break the top 3 that wasn't a Valve game. And now it has overtaken the top spot for the first time. A game has done that for a very long time over Dota 2. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, I don't believe, that they could hit that #1 spot and probably keep it for a while. They're well over 8 million copies sold. Still in early access, $30 on Steam. Still coming to Xbox One at the end of this year. I got another group of guys, Corey and his buddies, we did a fantasy football draft this weekend, and I started talking about it, and they're hooked. Like, they've been talking about it all afternoon in their text thread. Mm-hmm. So the game is exciting. I cannot wait. You won't see me on PlayStation once this game comes on Xbox.
I gotta say, when when IGN put out that video about them playing it, they did bring up the fact that the inventory management was an issue. It wasn't bad. It was just noticeably different. Now, I will say this: they brought up a point, or at least they implied, that I didn't think about, which made a lot of sense to me. Neither of us have played the game PC, so when we get a controller in our hand and we learn how to do the inventory, we're not going to be thinking of a different way. It's going to be, and everybody that plays on the Xbox, no matter if they play the PC or not, are going to have to be on that learning curve of learning it for the first time. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for Xbox players who haven't been playing it on PC. Now I'm sure there's plenty of them that have been, that'll want to play with their Xbox friends once it comes out. But it kind of took the worry away. Like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? It seems like they do have a good plan. It's just different, but it's a good plan.
Sure.
But did they
playing with other people, other Xbox people?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did they address the question of?
Yeah, she did say there would be an advantage. PC players can do it faster, but that's the thing, is that they've not really come out and said what the solution is to that, because the developers have said that they're going to figure out something to balance it. But they didn't speak specifically on what that balance was. But they did mention that the inventory management is slower on the controller.
Well, just overall gameplay too is what I'm wondering about, because
just
overall gameplay, there's a huge advantage
for
PC players,
for mouse.
Yeah, for mouse and keyboard players. So that but they haven't really addressed.
I don't think they did any
of that at all.
I don't think they did any crossplay to where they would.
They're still talking that it is a thing, that they're going to do it, but they have not said anything about the hows or the balances or the fairness or any of that. So I'm sure that's all being worked out, and that's part of bringing it over, and hopefully having Microsoft helping to publish it on the console will give them the resources they need to make it fair, or at least competitive. So we shall see how that works out. PUBG #1. We're excited. Next, Target. This is a possible, take it with a real big, huge grain of salt, like the size of your head, grain of salt. But Target showed on a previews page a Game of Thrones video game with a Bethesda name attached to it. So it said Bethesda Game of Thrones game. Cover art. There's no date of any kind, but it did show up on their website. I believe it's since been taken down, but it is on Reddit and other places you can find the screenshot of it. So it could be a leak. It could be, I don't know why else it would come up. I don't know why else that would happen, even accidentally. But we got talking a little bit in the text thread this weekend once it came up about, is that something we would want, a Bethesda developed, made Game of Thrones game? Obviously, Bethesda are famous for Skyrim and Fallout. They're also involved with Wolfenstein and Doom. So we've talked about this a little bit, but what are your guys' quick thoughts on a Bethesda Game of Thrones game? Is that what kind of game would they have to make for that to be interesting to you, I guess?
I don't know. I haven't seen the show, so I don't. From what I can gather, it's medieval and sort of Skyrim-ish. So I know we talked about it a little bit in the text thread. I feel like I'd be happy with another first-person type game. But the more I play games like Horizon and some of that other stuff, I kind of like the third person thing too. And especially I know we were talking about Shadow of Mordor last week and some other games like that. I like the sword play, the third person sword play, and the action that you can portray and feel in a third person situation versus first person. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of opinions here because I don't really know anything about the show, but I mean,
like I said, that was some of the stuff that I said in our text thread. When I think of Bethesda, I forgot about the two games that they also worked on, which was Doom and Wolfenstein. Probably among others that I'm not thinking of either. But the two big ones I think of are Skyrim and Fallout, or Elder Scrolls and Fallout series. When I think about those two games, I really like playing those two games. I like Skyrim more than any of the other Elder Scrolls games. I tried to play Oblivion when I first got my 360, and I liked it. I didn't get into it. I never finished it. Skyrim was the first game I sank my teeth into like that and actually played through the whole thing. Technically, I guess Fallout 3 might have been, but of the medieval world. Anyways, I love the way that their stories are good. They have really good stories, but they're so huge, and there's so many almost limitless side quests you can do, different factions you can join, all this kinds of different stuff, which is cool, and I liked it. The dragon stuff, I liked all that stuff in Skyrim. But the way, and don't get me wrong, the game looked good too, but the way that the character models are, and the way that the player controls it, and when you see it in third person, and some of that stuff, to me, if I have a Game of Thrones game, I want it to be like the most polished, I want it to look good. I don't want it to be done wonky or buggy, or I don't have any doubt that they wouldn't be able to do the story right, because the story's already kind of there. You're taking a story that's there and you're doing your own little thread through it. You're weaving your own little tale through something that's already there. So I'm not really worried about that, the story getting messed up. I just want to really enjoy the visuals going through it. Even The Witcher, like The Witcher is a beautiful game, and The Witcher's cool, and I love The Witcher. The Witcher is not, and I don't even know how to really explain it, but The Witcher's not as polished to me as something I'd want to see as far as the gameplay and the fluidity, if that's even a word. I don't really know what I want. That's what I said in the text. I'm not really sure what I want, but I do know that with the possibility of the next season not coming out until 2009, there's a gap that not Lord of the Rings. There's a gap that Game of Thrones people would love to have filled with something, and a video game might be a good thing to fit that gap. Now, would it even be that close? I mean, we're barely getting teases.
A book would be the best thing. Let's go, George.
I'm just saying, the book isn't. The book
Write
is
the
now,
book. I want the next book.
Yeah, you have the book, but the book is now separate from the show. So,
well, the show has diverged from where the show is further than the books have explored. So,
right. So he might be like, "That's not how I want to go. Here's a different book." But a video game is also something that would be very cool for me and people that I would
agree. That would be fun. I'm with you. If they made a Skyrim with Game of Thrones, like,
it would still be really cool.
It'd be great, but you're right. It would. I agree. I didn't think of it that way until you just articulated it verbally. That it would need to feel a lot smoother than that. Right. And I agree. I think it would be best set to not be. And Skyrim and Fallout and Bethesda games are known for the lovable bugginess of them, and that's what makes part of what makes them them. But with a Game of Thrones skin on it, it would definitely
a game like
lose
Skyrim,
some of its. Game of Thrones would lose its luster.
Yeah, a game like Skyrim and this gen Fallout 4, they have so many moving pieces that you excuse a little bit of it not being as polished, because there's so much going on. There's so much of a mechanical gameplay element, so many things you can do. Whereas Game of Thrones, I feel, would have to be a lot more linear in its storytelling.
Yep, absolutely.
You really would want to focus on that stuff. That doesn't mean you can't have, because Game of Thrones, there's how many different houses are there in Game of Thrones? There's 7 kingdoms. There's all these different types of factions that are going on, but there's a primary thing that is way more, like in Skyrim and Fallout, there's all these different things that aren't connected at all. I mean, you can find threads, but they're not all connected to the central thing. Whereas in Game of Thrones, everything, because you're watching a show, is all connected to this.
Reading a book.
There's a big looming threat. There's this there's this war for the throne that's going on, this political game for the throne that's going on, but there's also this big looming threat that we're going to have to face, and that's what everybody is involved in. They're either involved in the politics or they're involved in the coming war, and that's the things you're dealing with. So in a Game of Thrones game, you'd have to be dealing with that.
It would have to be a much more tight.
Spend 60 hours in the Thieves Guild while the knights, the White Walkers have been marching. They're standing outside the wall forever while you're over there.
Yeah, it depends on where you set it too. It wouldn't have to necessarily be set in the current, where the current show is. It could be set in any of the books or any of the show. It could be set. It could be set way before. It could be set thousands of years before or after. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities to have. But I agree with you on the base note. It would have to be a much more Witcher type story, or even a Mass Effect, type storyline where there are choices and decisions that you make. Bethesda hasn't necessarily done that. They have. You do have dialogues, you do have choices, but they haven't done one.
It's a new Mass Effect game in the Game of Thrones universe, thousands and thousands of years after the events of Game of Thrones.
Mass Effect actually is. But think about a Mass Effect type, a BioWare type game. In that universe, that would be interesting. So again, all this is so hypothetical. It's super hypothetical.
What if it's actually just a Game of Thrones card game?
They pull a valve, announce a new game, and it's a Game of Thrones cards game. It's a Dota card game. Everyone's like, no, burn it down. All right, so that's Target. We'll keep you apprised as we learn any new information if there is. Just a couple more items here quickly. Halo experiences are coming to Microsoft VR headsets. Today, Microsoft announced that they're going to partner with 343 Studios, and by the end of this year, there will be some Halo experiences coming to their AR and VR headsets. Okay, and then on top of that, Sony will, on the 1st of September, is dropping their virtual reality headset price to $449 from the $499, so $50 off. So obviously at the beginning of this year, VR, it was the year of VR. 2017, VR is going to do all these things. Dave got a VR headset. It's great. I played it. It's fantastic. It's super cool. I don't care anymore. Does Halo VR experiences matter? Does the $50 price drop matter, Josh?
It does, in that it's encouraging to see it becoming more affordable. And I feel like there is a lot of content out now. I also feel like you could probably burn through all of that content pretty quickly. Sure. But with things like Fallout 4 getting the VR treatment, Final Fantasy 15 getting the VR treatment, who knows, maybe Skyrim at some point, or did they already?
Skyrim, they are. It's coming out later this year.
So with games like that getting the VR treatment, I think that's huge. I would be very interested to play games like that in VR. There's already the crap. Now I'm forgetting the name of it. The dogfighting space game.
Evo from the
Elite Dangerous, right? Eve Online?
Eve. Yeah, Eve. No. Right? Valkyrie? Eve Valkyrie?
Valkyrie, gotcha.
There we go. We made it. We did it. So games like that, that was one of the demos that I did when I did the PSVR demo, and that was really, really cool. So it's encouraging to see a price drop just because it's becoming more affordable. And hopefully we can get to a place where the price and the value prop on the other side of buying it match up. I still don't feel like it's there yet. I feel like anybody that's buying it is still sort of an early adopter because there's still not that much there.
Sure.
But it's encouraging to see it kind of swinging that way, and maybe at some point it'll balance out. But
also,
I'm still excited about it.
This is off topic, but when were you going to tell us that you have a time machine?
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Oh, a time machine?
I maybe I'm wrong, but a time machine's the only way I can make sense of how you and Cecilia have suddenly already have a kid that's playing with blocks over in the corner. It sounds like there's begging from a child making things.
Yeah, you caught me.
And I thought, I'm like, how did you guys have a kid and it's already grown big enough to play with blocks?
We kept it very, very hush hush, but we've actually had it now for about 9 months. So
goodness,
yeah. That's okay.
So you went like Doc Brown, had the kids, came back seconds later after you didn't have kids,
right?
And now you've got Jules and Vern, and they're making blocks.
This apartment is all it's all like wood, like hard floors, like our last one, but we have less unpacked. So any noise in this apartment echoes a lot more than it did in the last one too.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to be. I didn't overly witty in the way that I asked.
At least we're addressing it for all the audio files listening to the podcast.
Now you know. All right, so VR is still a thing. If you want to buy it, you can buy it cheaper. I don't know that Halo really makes it interesting when they call it experiences. It's not like Halo 6 is going to be on VR. It's just going to be, a short little cool. This is neat. You're the Master Chief. All right. Lastly,
I also came across just the kind of a last point on that. I came across an article like when we were starting up the podcast about the price drop, and they dropped the price of the bundle too. So basically, you're getting the camera for free now if you buy the bundle with the price drop.
That's cool.
So.
Right. Yeah. And I know the Oculus Rift, I believe, has dropped their price recently as well. So I mean, they're coming down, And if you've waited out and you want to do it, this seems to be the time to do so.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. All right. Lastly, Half-Life 3.
Okay.
It's still not a game that's out. Probably never going to come out. Okay, so just so we got that out there. However, who is one of the writers and people that worked on Half-Life Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and Half-Life 2 Episode 3, or 2 rather, wrote a little blog post basically explaining what Half-Life 2 Episode 3 was going to be about. So have both of you played Half-Life?
No.
I have, yeah.
None? Okay, so Dave has not played it. Josh has. I also played it. I played it through the orange box back on the 360, not on the PC. But I did experience through that. So I'm not going to read this, obviously, but it's if you want to know what happened after episode 2, it's written in the form or the perspective of a letter from Gordon Freeman to somebody else. Now he changed the names. He doesn't call him Gordon Freeman. He calls him something else that rhymes with Gordon Freeman. And the names of the other characters have been changed to something else that rhymes. But it's obviously Gordon Freeman. It's a letter written from his perspective telling where he's been and what he's been doing. It involves a freighter ship that travels through dimensions, through time and space. It involves aliens. It involves either blowing up that ship or using its technology. And it's pretty freaking interesting. It's a little disappointing to know that it's never going to be a thing. I fully believe that we'll never see Half-Life 3 because they've still not wrapped up Half-Life 2, obviously. That's what this would be. But if you're interested in Half-Life, know what the possibilities of how that would have wrapped up, you can definitely go check it out. MarkLaidlaw.com is the website you can go to. He's got a blog post there called Epistle 3, and it lays out the basic storyline to what Episode 3 of Half-Life 2 would have been. Very cool, very interesting. It's a good read. I suggest doing so.
Cool.
But being that it was Half-Life 3, I felt like we had to at least mention it.
Yeah, it is disappointing, especially now that it seems like I'm gonna have to pick another crazy prediction every E3.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, so there you go. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the long news segment this week. Just a couple more for you here. We're going to talk about what we've been playing lately. Brought to us by our good friend Paco.
Paco.
Some dude. And the first hand supply. All right, Josh, in your move, I feel like I need to move now. Dave moved. Josh moved. I'm still in the same place. But Josh, in your move,
Texas.
Why you've been moving, what have you been playing?
Not a ton. I just
Week.
I know. Yesterday was the first day that I like finally got our like TV and my PlayStation and all that finally hooked up. Since we got in here, so I played a little bit of
One of Chad's favorites.
Yeah, I played a little bit of the Whistleblower game, DLC, whatever you want to call it. It's sort of a separate. You can play it without playing Outlast, the original game, but I played the Whistleblower DLC for Outlast, and I'm not super far in, but it's interesting so far.
I played some of it.
The kind of like the way they set up the story is that you play a I think they call him a digital consultant or something. You're basically a programmer that they bring in, and if you play through to the end of Outlast,
which are crazy,
so good. But if you play through the end of Outlast, there's a facility that you end up in at the end of that game, where it seems that they're doing some psychological testing
shocker
on people. So you are a digital consultant for the company that's doing that, and you're basically writing code and programs to help them do that. But the game starts off with you being a whistleblower. You're sending an email to somebody about what's going on there, telling them, they're hurting people, somebody needs to stop it. And they catch you. So that's sort of where the game takes off. So it's the same gameplay mechanics. You've got the camcorder, and then when you're in the dark, you turn on the night vision. But you have batteries that run out. So
then you just turn your PlayStation off and you just don't
run away screaming. But it's really, really fun. It's more of the same, it seems, from Outlast, but a new story and some new environments and things like that. So I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not super far in, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I remembered it. It was good. It was fun. Or it was good.
You guys keep using these words, and they don't sound like the way those words are meant to be used. Fun, good. What have you been up to, Dave? What have you been playing?
Well, I was going to have a pretty big list because earlier today, one of the games I was playing was Overwatch with Paco Steele. And he goes, okay, Dave. I was like, I'm going to have to go get something to eat before I start the podcast. And he's like, well, since you've got like a couple hours, we should probably just go and play every game in your library for like 30 seconds. I was like, why? He's like, so when you guys got to like games you've been playing, you could like list all these games that you've played this week.
Wow.
But I did not do that. But one game I did play that Chad and actually two games that Chad and I will share. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which I got this past week when it came out, or the night of, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's Uncharted to me. It wasn't missing, in my opinion, it wasn't missing Nathan Drake at all. I was perfectly fine playing as Chloe. I would have been perfectly fine playing as anyone, as long as they had a good story and a good background. It probably helped that it was somebody from the Uncharted series, but I just love the Naughty Dog game world that they make. That and The Last of Us. I like that, how they do it. They've got it down to a science that just works really good for those single player experiences. And so I loved it. It was action from almost the beginning to the end. There were some super massive like set pieces as far as like how it was built, and just it was more open world than Uncharted 4 was, and that was really cool. It had a lot of the same Jeep mechanics, actually the exact same Jeep mechanics, very similar world, but just more open. She had a map that was very cool that she would mark as she went around the world, and it was like actually like in real time she'd mark it on her map, like you could see her marking it in the spot.
There's no map screen
marked on the map, and when she looked at it, it would basically the
zoom
camera
in.
zoomed in right down over her shoulder to the map that she's looking at.
Yeah,
and you could see her little marks everywhere. And I'm definitely going back to get the platinum. There's a platinum, so it's got a lot of the same collectibles, the treasures, the different little things. The puzzles were great. There wasn't really any like extensively hard puzzles. Like there were a few in Uncharted 4 that were complex. This one was not like that. There was a few puzzles, but most of it were the action scenes. There was a lot of vehicle. There was a big vehicle combat scene that was really good. There was a lot of underwater temple stuff that was really cool. There was a lot of the story between the characters was good, and how it tied in with Uncharted 4. They did it all very well. So I'm looking forward to going back into it to get the platinum, as I said. 100% worth $40. No problem whatsoever playing $40. I think that's a great price for that. It was still at $40. It was still the length of a good $60 game. Uncharted 4 was, and I didn't have a problem with it being long, but Uncharted 4 was longer than the normal game, and I think that's because it was the bookend of Nathan Drake's story, and so they packed a lot of stuff in that. But you could blow through this game just like you could blow through Uncharted 4, but there's a lot to it, and I was really having a blast with it, so I look forward to playing it even more, and Chad can say what he wants to say about that in a little bit. But something else we also played was World War II, or Call of Duty World War II, the private beta, which I'm really into. I'm really happy to be back to like the bare bones, like boots on the ground type warfare. And much like Battlefield, they did a good job of, because like in all the other Call of Duty games, you're on a battlefield, but it's just like the 6 people that are the 12 people that are there, 6 on 6. And a lot of times, you might see like stuff going around, but in these maps, they only let us play 2 maps. I think they did add some stuff, Chad. I played some this last night. There was a war mode that I played that was a lot like some of the
Rush.
Not Rush. It was starts with the O.
Operations. It's kind of like Operations.
Like Operations. It had
not as big a scale.
Tiers. No, it wasn't as big of a scale, but it had several different tiers that you had to do in one match. But anyways, they make it really seem like you're in the middle of a battle. There's constantly stuff. It feels like it's more than just you there. It's more than just your team and the other team. There's constantly stuff going on everywhere, and they make it feel really good as far as a battlefield. You're in a war, and I really liked it. I'm really looking forward to getting into it. I won't say a whole lot on there, so stuff on any of the chat stuff too. But we talked about Nidhogg too a little bit. Is that how you say it? Nidhogg?
Nidhogg, yep.
I played that a little bit, and it was fun. I just played the computer, which was not even remotely easy. There was a learning curve to it.
Yeah.
But I can see us having fun doing it. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Let's tell the listeners to stay tuned to Nidhogg. That may come into play here in the next month or so.
Cool. I also played some Sonic Mania finally. Got that on my Nintendo Switch.
What game was that?
Played it, and
when did that game come out?
Back to my roots. I mean,
not gonna answer me.
Thank you, Sega. Nintendo won't do it.
2 weeks.
Now it's on Nintendo
last week,
but
I
I
really
really
did
like
week.
it. I really did like
2
it.
weeks to buy
Played
this game you love.
Sonic. Played a little bit of
Sonic.
Tails. Played a little bit as Knuckles.
Weeks? 2 weeks.
I forgot completely
Come out last week, right?
the cool little aspects of Sonic and Knuckles, how he would like glide and stuff. How Tails has this little floaty thing, and I like some of the extra stuff they've added. I don't like the 3D like special zones that they did from some of the other games, but I like going back, and the nostalgia just hit me right where I wanted it to, in my feels, as Josh would say, in the feels.
Sick.
So yeah, that was really cool. I also bought a little game on the Switch
Words
called
you use,
Forma
don't-
8,
Cool.
and it's I explained it to the guys. It's a lot like a Metroidvania game. It reminds me a little bit of Ori and the Blind Forest as far as how it's set, how you view it. And what's Limbo? It has a similar art style to Limbo, where there's a lot of shadows in the foreground, but it's got more color. I mean, Limbo is black and white, and this has more color even than. Is it Inside? Was it Inside?
Inside, yeah.
It has more color even than Inside. It looks good. You're this little not like what's the little Wall-E? You don't have. You're a little robot, but you float. You're like a little orb, and you go around, and as you go through the game, you get more powers. I've only played maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes of it. I got one power, which was a little little electrical surge that you could do to open up doors and stuff. So it looks like a fun. It's only $9. So I'm interested in playing more of that on my Switch. And then Paco and Evan and I played The Escapists 2 the other night.
I saw that.
We were having a lot of fun. Neither of them had ever played Escapist, so I had to explain it to them. Now, Josh, I will say this: The Escapist 2, even if you played a lot of Escapist, there is a learning curve to this one. It's a lot more in depth, and complex in a good way. But at first, I was kind of like, I was surprised, having played the first as much as I did. I'm like, gosh, I don't know what the heck to do. These prisons are like multi-level. First of all, some of them are multi-level. Yeah, you can go upstairs. They still have a roof. Even on top of that, some of them have a basement. Some of them have like mines, like abandoned mines underneath them, depending on what map you're on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Paco and I played on. I didn't know what this was until we played it, and we just discovered it. But they have some mini prison levels. For example, we did the first one, which is like kind of like the easy one. It would be like Central Perks or whatever, not Central Perks, but I think that maybe that was what it calls. Anyways,
Friends? Huh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wanting to call it, but it's something like that. The first prison in the first Escapist. But anyways, we went to this other one, and it was on a train. Like you were looking at a train that was moving, and you were seeing into it, and you were confined to this little cell. And at first, we're like, as soon as I got on my bed, the guard got mad at me and came in and started beating me up. I'm like, what? I'm in my cell. Like, why is he mad at me? Then I found out, okay, this isn't like a prison. It's a prison train that's taking us somewhere, because we had a meter that was slowly going down.
That's awesome.
That was showing you when the train was going to get there.
Right.
And so Paco and I had to avoid the guards as we like snuck around this train to find crowbars and stuff. So eventually, like, we find there was different ways. There was a horse that was running alongside for whatever reason, just running alongside the train. And if you could find something that you could make a fake carrot, you could lure it over there and jump on it and escape. But only one person could do that. The only way that two people or multiple people could escape was we had to find these crowbars and unhook the caboose at the very end.
Oh, that's crazy.
From the train, but the crowbars were spread all over the place. So that was really interesting, but that was a much shorter map than a regular prison. So then we went to this other prison after that we ended up stopping in, where there's a lot of stuff that's built for 2 players. And I don't know how it'll work if you're just playing single player yet. I'm sure there's some way they figure that out. But in one of the prisons we were in, it's like a Western prison. It's got this Western music. There's new music to it and everything. And it's in like sandy and like tumbleweeds, but there was this one door I found, and I'm like, what is this? I walked up to it. It's a wide door, and Paco's down here doing something, going through desks looking for stuff, and we keep going to our roll calls and our lunch, so we're not taking off the guards. But I find this door and I try to open it, and it says hold the door, and so I hold it and I push hold door. It goes right into Game of Thrones. Then I push LR or right and left or whatever, the bumpers, and it's a tiny little mini game. You got almost like you're working out, but you are holding the door open for the other player to go through. Like you can't get through the door. So once he went through the door, there was a button inside that room where he could just push that button. It would open the door for me. But once you let go of the button, it shuts the door. So then in that room was a ladder, and we went down, and we were in these abandoned mine shafts. And so we were like digging under the prison, and we're like, dang, there's a pickaxe down here. So I start picking through like some of the, and I find this little area. And so Paco finds like a shovel. He's like, oh, cool. So he starts digging around. Well, I didn't know this, but he accidentally started to dig up. And so we got out later and we're like, oh, we got to get out to get to roll call. And we ran out of energy to where Paco ran out of energy after somehow, I can't remember how it was, but I couldn't get out of the room because he didn't have enough energy to hold the door open for me. And so he had to go rest, and roll call's ticking down. And it's like 20 seconds I got to get to roll call or we go into lockdown. And so we're freaking out. So then he comes back and he opens it, and he's already checked into roll call, so he's fine. He gets out. Then I'm like, well, I got to go, but I got stuff that's contraband, and there's all these metal detectors between me and the roll call. I'm like, I can't drop this stuff because they find it, they're going to be ticked off. So I had to like go around and like hide at places, and I just barely got to roll call. And we were like, dude, that was so cool. It was so tense. And then all of a sudden they started sicking the dogs on us because they found a hole that Paco had dug up into the yard from the mines. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I dug that hole straight, but I didn't fill it in or whatever.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah, it definitely seems. I definitely want to play it with you guys. So, like, plan on getting that at some point because it's fun. I think you would really like it, especially playing it. I think this game is built to have more fun, obviously, when you're playing with your friends.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to that. And then, last but not least, I didn't plan on putting this on here, but I did, only because of one reason. So, I was at Target the other day, and I saw this card game. It was called Exploding Kittens. It's hanging on the wall in Target. And it was right next to another game I have. I can't remember what it's called now. All of a sudden, it's the black box.
Any?
Huh? Cards
Against Humanity.
Yeah. It was right next to that. So I'm like, oh, I like playing that with my friends that are evil. And so I'm like, what about this game? So they had two different versions. They have three different versions. They have like a young person's version, and then a kind of all ages version, and then like a 30 plus. It said 30 plus, which I don't know why it was that high.
30?
I think it was just being stupid.
Only 30-year-olds can play this game. 29? Nope.
But anyway, so I got the middle one, and I took it home, and it's basically just like Russian roulette cards or whatever, but it's with it's with exploding kittens. It's hard to explain, but you basically it's up to like 5 players, and there's 4 exploding kittens that can be in this deck, and you deal everybody a few cards or whatever, and then you put the exploding kitten somewhere in the deck, and you start going around the game, and each player there's all these different types of game cards. Like there's diffuse cards. That's the only way you can diffuse an exploding kitten. If you pick an exploding kitten, you have so many seconds to either diffuse it or do something else, or you explode and you're out of the game. So you have to have like a diffusing thing to stop that. Or there's cards where you can like see the top 3 cards, and then you can kind of learn how you want to play. There's cards to skip your turns. There's cards to reverse the play order. There's cards to reshuffle the pile. There's cards to take cards from other players. There's cards that will like make a certain player that you pick go 3 times in a row. There's all kinds of different things to like spice it up, and I thought it was cool. But then I found out there's a iOS version of this card game that you can just play with random people or with friends. And so I downloaded that. It was like $1.99 or something. And I played a couple of games of it already, and I liked it. It's really cool. So the only reason I put it on here is because it's an iOS game. So it is kind of like a video game. But I just thought it was cool, and I'd throw that out there. It's a cheap little cool card game that I think people would like if they like that, people that like card games like I do.
Cool.
So I thought it was fun.
Cool.
That's what I'm playing, guys.
Explode those kittens.
That's what I also tried to play No Man's Sky, but it had like an 8 gig download that I didn't want to wait for. So I was going to see what the new stuff was, but whatever. Oh, and I played Shadow of Mordor. I've been going back through that and getting all the stuff and clearing out all the map areas, which I'm enjoying doing. I really like that game a lot. I like it a lot. Chad.
Is that all? Is that it?
Chad, what have you been playing?
Yeah. Thanks. You know what? Thanks for asking, Dave. I was just going to move to the next segment, but since you asked, as you mentioned, I only played 2 things: Call of Duty and Uncharted. So I played the Call of Duty World War II beta. I echo what Dave is saying. It seems fun. I did play by myself. I played that war. And when it's much more frustrating, either that or I just started sucking my bad.
Sorry, lost reference.
So, Call of Duty World War II. I think it's going to be a good game. I look forward to playing that. Uncharted. Great game. The Lost Legacy.
I'll do it quiet as background music.
No, don't. No, let's not. Let's not do that. So I enjoyed that game. I played through it. Took me a couple settings and finished it. And everything Dave said is accurate. It's if you liked Uncharted 4, you will like this game. I happen to love Uncharted 4 and thereby loved this game. From the moment it started up to the moment that it finished, everything in between was all Uncharted 4 and just kept going. Obviously, he plays Chloe and Nadine. I've heard some people on podcasts I've listened to say that they didn't have good chemistry, which I think that those people probably only played a half hour of the game because they have great chemistry. And the relationship changes from between Chloe and Nadine. There are peaks and valleys throughout the entire game, and it's fun. Chloe's attitude and her banter and wit is enjoyable. It's not Nathan Drake, which I don't think anyone could be, but it's right up there, and it's fun to play as her. The set pieces, as Dave mentioned, the big moments that Uncharted is known for, those are in this game. This isn't like a bargain bin Uncharted game. This is more Uncharted 4. And it amazed me as I played. Okay, there are obviously different levels when it comes to game developers. There are skill levels when it comes to game developers. Naughty Dog is a fantastic game developer, and one of the ways I noticed the way they make level designs, obviously they're known for giant, awe-inspiring vistas, where you'll come through this little cave and you'll look out and there'll just be this amazing, huge waterfall and sculptures, and you're going to be climbing on that shortly. But it's awe-inspiring. This game has photo mode, and I use photo mode in this game more than I ever use photo mode, which I don't use a lot. Not like Dave in his Horizon photo mode stint that he had. But I used it, and I'm just like, this just looks. But then as I'm playing, I very rarely was I unsure of where to go. And they do such a great job at, without giving you hard, like, here's a checkpoint arrow, they're so good at directing you to go. And there are a couple places where you can go off the beaten path, but it's subtle little things, the handholds, paths. And I'm just thinking of the guys that sat there and developed this level specifically and this climbing mechanism and going up on this giant structure, how good they are at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They are fantastic levels. It's a fantastic game. If you like Uncharted 4, you have to play this game. You have to play it. And yes, $40, well worth it. I mean, if you loved Uncharted, if you like Uncharted 4, you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing this, because it is fantastic. It's not DLC. I've been hearing people talk about, it should have just been DLC. It's not a standalone game. I call bullocks. It is a full-blown Uncharted game. Worth every penny of $40. You need to shut your mouth on it should have been DLC. This would not have worked as DLC. This tells a completely different story. And you owe it to yourself, Uncharted fans, to play this game. 100%. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil anything. Maybe we'll talk about it. Dave and I will have a spoiler cast, or Josh, if he gets to it and finishes it, we'll have a spoiler cast where we'll talk about it, because I think it deserves to be talked about. There are some really great moments that I want to talk about, I want to talk to the listeners about and hear what they think, because I was I loved it. I loved it. Great game. Dave and I were talking about what we'd rate it, and he was saying, I think he said 8.5 or 85 out of 100. I'd give it easy 9.
Yeah,
no problem, without hesitation. Such a great game. So that's all I've been playing. So I won't take up any more time talking about that. We're just about finished, folks. We're about to the Game Scoop's 20 questions. But before we get there, we'd like to tell you some of the new games that are coming out today, August 29th, and this week. Dave, you have that list in front of you there?
I do.
What can play at the Mama Grab Shops this week?
Well, Chad and Josh, on August 29th, for the PS4 and the PC, you can play Absolver. Now, I believe this is the game we referenced last week, which is kind of like fencing, sword fighting. Correct? Or am I wrong? Am I way wrong?
No,
Josh,
that's Nidhogg.
That's the game you played this week, Nidhogg.
Yeah. This one's like
I got confused because the cover literally shows two people like with swords like fighting each other. Does it not?
there might be swords. It's not primarily swords. It's more of like sort of like just multiplayer fighting, like martial arts stuff.
Interesting. Interesting. Folks, it's interesting. The pictures I'm pulling up look way different than anything that I thought I was looking at when I saw Absolver on the... Oh, okay. I see the Absolver now on what I saw on the PlayStation, and it's people in armor, and they have like things over their faces that almost look like fencing, like medieval fencing.
Oh,
gear
yeah.
Over their face, and one guy has a sword, but one guy's only punching. He doesn't have a sword. So I guess I wasn't paying attention to that. I got confused.
It kind of reminds me of, I don't know, well, I shouldn't have started the sentence without knowing what the name of the game is, but the one that just came out, it's like multiplayer medieval
For Honor?
Yeah, it's sort of like For Honor, but it's like martial arts.
I see. Well, that's out on the 29th, guys. It's not fencing, but you just might like it. Also, on August 29th, that's my saying for everything I don't know anything about anymore. It's not fencing, but you just might like it. Also, on August 29th for the PS4 is Everybody's Golf. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. It is golf, and it's for everybody. So, I mean, it's kind of like fencing. You got these long metal things that you hold on to.
It's the reimagining of Hot Shots Golf. If you liked Hot Shots Golf back on the PlayStation 2, this is that for now. And there's fishing in it.
Excellent.
Fishing. Okay.
Also, for Xbox One and PC on the
True
29th,
story.
Hello Neighbor, which I believe this is the one where you try to sneak into your neighbor's house, correct? And like steal,
So, yeah.
you have to like do some weird. I've seen some weird Let's Plays of it, where like the guy gets mad and he comes in out and he finds you, but you have to like sneak into his house and like somehow like get these keys and go into a secret dungeon room or something.
Well, that
Something
sounds
like
fun.
that.
Kinky.
I don't know.
Hello
That's
there.
just what I heard. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Also on the 29th, which is a game I'll be getting here in about 15 minutes, is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for Switch. August 29th. I'm looking forward. I've never looked forward to playing a game like this until this one, because when I saw it at E3, it caught my attention. What I thought was going to be really stupid, the fact that Mario and them were involved in it on my Switch, I was like, you know what? I'm interested in this. I want something different to play on my Switch, and it's got that. I was going to say SOCOM, but it's XCOM is what I'm thinking. Yeah, thanks, Jen. It's got that vibe to it. So for those of you like that and you like Mario and you've got a Switch, which is very specific people, you could get Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle on the 29th. Also on the 29th for PS4 and Xbox One is Redout. It's not fencing, but you might like it.
Redout looks good. It's like, imagine that racing game for the 64. It was like motorcycles. It was crazy fast.
Road Rash?
No, it was like futuristic motorcycles. Crap.
64?
Yeah, man. anyway, it reminds me like it's like a futuristic racing game. It looks really, really fast. It looks good. It looks really, really good.
Cool. Well, August 29th, you can get that game. Also on the 29th, every game but the last one is the 29th, folks. PS4 and PC, Warriors All-Stars. This is the all-star of Warriors combat. I'm assuming there's combat in this game, guys.
It's a Muso game. It's those Dynasty Warriors games. It's the all-star version of that. So you're going to have, if you play those games, you got a bunch of enemies and you're just
Like
hacking and slashing and taking down hundreds of them. And this is going to have all the main characters from all those games.
Okay, well, there you go. That is got some similar fencing stuff to it, but it's just like you're fencing like all of the White Walkers from Game of Thrones at once.
You keep saying things that maybe not everyone knows.
Anyways, August 29th, also on the PS4, Yakuza Kiwami.
It's basically the remake of Yakuza
Kiwami
1, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
1. Kiwami, I believe, is a Japanese word for something else, which I'm not familiar with.
2?
No, it's from what I understand, it's a remake of Yakuza 1. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's coming out on the 29th. And last but not least, the lone game in the midst of August 29th. There's on August 31st for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, Life is Strange Before the Storm. Now, this is the sequel that is her friend that you're playing as, correct?
It's the sequel, which is a prequel, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this is before the life is.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's the story of her friend after she the girl you're playing as in the current one, after she left town. This is the story of what happened to her friend. Correct?
I don't know. I haven't finished that game, so I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I still need
All
to
I
finish
know, I haven't finished it either, but I do know in the very first chapter, you're back in this town and you have a friend that used to be your best friend, and when you left town, she kind of like went off the deep, not went off the deep end, but she took a different path and had a bunch of these. She was a totally different person when you came back to meet her. That's the point I'm trying to make. I think this is the story of her, that friend, and what she went through, like her adventures. I could be wrong. Could be way wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. All I know is it's not fencing, and you might like it.
Yep. All right.
For the record, the game I was trying to think of for Nintendo 64 was Extreme G, just in case anybody was wondering.
I have heard of it. Heard of it.
All right. That's going to do it for the games that you can buy at the Mom and Grab shops or the digital places this week. That's going to bring us to our final segment, wrapping up this week's podcast, Game Scoop's 20 Questions.
It's a scoop.
I have chosen the game this week. Let's see if our video game geniuses over here, Dave and Josh, less than 20. You may begin.
I feel like that geniuses there was a little condescending.
No, what?
Maybe,
that's a good word.
Maybe
See,
a
use
little
words like fun and cool to describe Outlast, and that's okay. I say geniuses, and you say that's
maybe a little patronizing. I don't know.
Complimentary.
All right.
We got a streak going of like 2 or 3 wins here, so
all right,
don't mess it up.
Okay, we're gonna nail it. I'm predicting we get it in 10. Here we go.
Okay,
Chad, this game that you're thinking of, let's see. Do you?
Here it comes. Wait for it.
The character that you play as.
It's gonna be good.
Do you make any audible sounds with like vocal sounds?
I don't specifically recall. I'm gonna guess yes, but I'm not gonna. I don't know for sure, so I won't.
It's not The Legend of Zelda because there's no.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Let's take off.
Yeah, it's not Monster Hunter because you choose your voice in Monster Hunter.
correct? So you don't talk at all.
Probably.
Well, I'm not saying that you don't. I just don't recall.
Right, but I'm just saying.
If I were to guess,
you would say yes.
I would say yeah, probably.
But it's obviously not a game that you very noticeably speak in.
So I won't count that question. If you'd like to ask another one, I guess that's a freebie because I can't really answer it.
Woohoo! All right.
Good question, Josh.
Well, then, in that case, I will ask this question vis-a-vis the following. In this game that you're thinking of, Chad, is your character that you play as human?
Yes.
Some hopping. There you go. Okay. Chad, did this game come out? Was this game released or when it first came out? Was it released on the 360 PS3 era generation?
Yes. Yes.
Sweet. 2 for 2. All right.
Actually, 3 for 2.
Oh, it's true. We're doing better than 100% right now. All right. You play as a human, PS3, 360 era.
So it's not going to be a game like Mass Effect. It's not going to be a game like one of those games where there's a lot of dialogue options.
Right.
Again, it's not going to be like the Mario or the Luigi. You know what I'm talking about. You get the idea.
I feel you. I'm picking up what you're laying down.
But you are human. So I guess what are the options? It would be like maybe. Let's see.
You've only asked 2 questions. Lots of questions to ask. I mean, you can narrow it down here before we start the deliberation.
All right, Chad.
Very good, Chad.
When it came out, was it a Microsoft exclusive?
It was.
Ooh, good, Joshua.
I took a swing because I was thinking Fable. Because if somebody asked me that question about whether or not he speaks, I would have a hard or makes audible sounds vocally. I would have a hard time answering that question.
I seriously just got deja vu.
Well, can you tell me what the game is?
It was Fable.
Oh, okay.
We've done Fable before,
Awesome.
but I'm trying to. I think you're the one who picked it. I think it was one that you picked.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And we had to guess it. But I almost feel like we went down the same route of not knowing if he spoke.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, that's why I took a swing.
That doesn't mean that Chad remembered that and didn't pick Fable. I'm trying to think. So, is this okay, Chad? The art style of this game is it would it be considered? And I think I'm just going to have to ask this, like knowing that you know what I mean. But is the art style considered like a realistic art style?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, not Fable, because that was much more cartoony.
Right.
All right. So that leaves us with, if it's a Microsoft exclusive at launch, that leaves us with. But a human protagonist. That leaves us with like, I mean, Mass Effect was right when it launched.
Yeah, but
Exclusive.
he definitely speaks.
Oh yeah, duh.
Same with Halo games.
Yeah.
Same with Alan Wake. He speaks.
Yep.
We've done that before as well. That's current gen. I'm thinking of human.
I haven't played these games as much, so I don't remember. I'm assuming there's got to be cutscenes though and stuff. Gears of War.
Oh yeah,
Your character has to speak in that.
Yeah, they do. Chad, is this the but that does bring up some other questions we need to be asking. We're not even to 5 yet. Does this game have multiplayer, Chad?
No.
It's not a single player game.
All right, single player game. How many questions is that?
That's 5.
Ah, all right. We still got 5 to get it. My predicted 10.
Let's go.
It's pretty narrowed
Ask
down.
some
Yeah, we did
questions.
that.
We're close. All right, Chad, is this a third person game?
No.
Another good question. So is it first person or top down? Is it a first person game?
Yes.
All right. Microsoft exclusive at launch.
360.
So I don't think it would be something like Skyrim. I feel like Chad's done that before. But in a game like Skyrim, your character doesn't audibly speak, but
No,
your
it
character
doesn't.
does make audible like grunt sounds when you attack.
What about Fallout 3? Was that the same way?
Yeah, like if you were swinging something or if you got
But
shot.
Fallout wasn't exclusive, was it? Or was it?
Oh, duh, you're right.
And was Skyrim also not exclusive?
Yeah, yeah, neither one, I don't think.
Elder Scrolls was exclusive.
Was it?
I think, or maybe it wasn't. I thought it was like one of Microsoft's when they launched their system, it was one of their launch games. But I could be completely wrong. It might not have been exclusive.
What about games like Bad Company?
Well, you spoke in that one. That guy
I'm trying to
reminded me
think,
of Jim Halpert for some reason. I don't
You guys
know
are
why.
putting a lot on a question that was never asked officially.
Chad.
You're right, Chad.
Let's find out like the setting, like this medieval thing that's one thing, and military is another.
Yeah.
Is this a shooter, the first person
Yeah.
shooter? Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
so we're gonna rule out most of those medieval things. So
We're so close. I'm gonna be sad if we don't get it in 10.
where are we at 8?
That was 8.
First person shooter, Microsoft exclusive.
Was Far Cry ever exclusive in the early ones, like Far Cry 3?
3 wasn't.
Okay,
I don't
so
think.
that's the only other one I think I would have played, other than 4.
First person shooter.
I'm assuming, obviously, most of these games, Chad knows I've played. That doesn't mean I've played this one, but it's a single player game.
Chad,
So-
was there in this game? Were there any did your character have like any special powers? Like something that doesn't actually exist in our actual world? Okay.
Yes.
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 So that would include games like
BioShock,
Fear, things like that.
BioShock, I don't think you ever talked.
No, I don't think you do.
Doesn't have
But was
multiplayer.
that ever exclusive?
Yeah, exclusive thing. That thing keeps coming back too. What about Wolfenstein? Was there another Wolfenstein that was exclusive? Because it was started on PC, so it might have been.
That's possible. I haven't played very many Wolfenstein games.
Me either. But I'm trying to think if there was. There had to have been one on the Xbox or 60. That was like 10, 11 years or something.
I was just about to bring up Unreal Tournament, but there's no multiplayer in the game we're talking about.
Correct. It's a shooter, so it's realistic, human. You most likely do make sounds, but dialogue isn't a standout feature that he necessarily remembered. No multiplayer. Exclusive things where I'm racking my brain like I can't. I'm bad at like recalling that stuff for some reason. We're not gonna get in 10, so we're gonna have to like start throwing some questions out there.
All right, Chad.
Yo.
Man, I'm having a hard time thinking of where to go with this. Would this game be set in? Nah, never mind. Scratch that. Are there RPG like upgrade elements to this game?
I think there'd have to be.
Yes.
If it's got powers.
There are upgrade elements.
So what is this? Could it be BioShock? Is this is this a game?
That's 10.
Is this a game associated with Bethesda?
Let's say it again.
Wait, no. Bethesda didn't do BioShock, did they?
I am ashamed that I don't know the answer to that question.
Is it BioWare? Who did Prey?
I also don't know the answer to that question.
Who did Dishonored?
Also a good question. I don't know.
Is this game in the BioShock franchise, Chad?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, holy crap! I no part of me thought that it was exclusive.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't remember. I just wanted to rule it out. It's not Bethesda. I don't think it's Bethesda. I think it's either BioWare or well, I'm missing something. But anyway, so it's one of the BioShocks, and it's got to be 1 or 2, or 3. It is 3 was also on that one.
Chad, is this the first game in the series?
Yes, it is.
Did he say yes?
Yeah.
Cool. Chad, is this BioShock?
It is BioShock.
Woo! I
Yes.
did not realize that it was an exclusive.
It's not BioWare because it sounds too much like BioShock.
There you
2K
go.
published and developed the game.
Really? 2K.
Yep. Ken Levine with 2K Boston and 2K Australia. And it came out 2007, 10 years ago this week.
Cool.
August 21st, 2007.
Nice.
It was exclusive for the Xbox 360 and Microsoft platforms for a full year. In October of 2008. Last year they did a remaster for the PS4 and Xbox One, where you got 1, 2, and the third one, which was not number 3. It was called BioShock Infinite. You got all 3 of those. But yeah, first-person shooter. You got plasmids that you would upgrade and use different abilities as a shooter. There may be some like ouch or grunting when he gets hit.
Right.
I'm 100% sure, so I didn't want to say exactly. I know there was no talking from your protagonist as well. Yeah. No, I think there was. I think there was some like talking to himself. See, I'm unclear. That's why I didn't want to say because I don't remember.
I don't remember any talking as the protagonist.
I don't think he had like conversations, but he may. It's hard to say. Hard to remember. It's been a while.
Talk to him.
Yeah, there was talking, but
I've had my eye on that BioShock collection for a while. It's actually discounted right now. I think it's like $20 or something like that, which is the best it's been.
Probably for the 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Very
talk
good.
About a fantastic story.
Mm-hmm.
Great twists and turns at the time, and I replayed it because I bought the collection. It still plays well.
Yeah.
The shooter wise, it's great. The big daddies are scary.
Yep.
The little sisters are creepy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, it's real good. It's
very
a great game. Love it.
Yeah. Super
Very
atmospheric. I feel like for you, Chad, it's the perfect mix of like scary and action. Like it's just enough scary, but not too much.
Right. Oh yeah. It's that and Dead Space that are about as scary as I get.
Yeah.
Your Outlast garbage that you call good? No, not. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it this week for the podcast. They got it in 13 questions, real
Man.
close. They brought it up at
They
question
were.
9 for the first time. You brought up BioShock at question 9 for the first time. So you're on the right track pretty much right away. Thanks for listening. As always, make sure you get entered to win that PlayStation 4. This is the best chance contest you will ever have to win a $300 to $400. Do it, you crazy people. Just do
Can't
it.
afford not to.
That was be said every week because it's true. Remember, we are part of the SueEmpire.com podcast family. You can go check them out for other podcasts made right here in South Dakota, just like this one. Thanks for listening. As always, you guys are the best. This is the best podcast on the internet because of you. Thank you. And good night.
Also another thing that Nintendo doesn't do is they don't make their games available at midnight Eastern time. I forgot about that because Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is not available right now. And it is 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's disappointing, Nintendo. Disappointing. Garbage trash with a piece of pizza on it. But I'd still eat it.
But I'd still eat it. Garbage trash. I'd still eat it. Bye, YouTube. Thanks for watching. You guys are the best. Make sure to like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. People say on YouTube all the time. Smash that subscribe button. Like this video. Tell your friends. What?
I like how you picked the title inadvertently.